you're wasting time trying to get back with your avoidant ex. Yes, you're wasting time if this person is missing the safety, is just after comfort. It is important for you to make the difference between them seeking safety, comfort, or simply missing you, missing the relationship. It is very important for you to make that distinction. And that's what we will discuss today in this video. If it's the first time you watch one of my videos, my name is Alexis. I'm a therapist. I used to be dismissive avoidant. And my job is to help you understand their world. So not necessarily about getting back with them, but understanding what you should be doing next in order for you to have the relationship you deserve. So what it means for an avoidant to miss their partner. The missing them is around nostalgia, is around this projection of what we had, the happy memories, etc., etc. So this is why in the book Attached, for instance, he talks about that, the phantom ex. This idea of once the commitment and the intimacy is gone, they start remembering the happy times and sometimes idealizing the past relationship. Because what's left of the relationship is the happy moments without the pressure from the relationship, so without any form of vulnerability. It's something I've learned through my studies and also personal work, that vulnerability is actually essential if you want to have meaningful relationship with people, with your spouse, but with people. Otherwise, what happens is that you're vulnerable. You're superficial. You pretend you're at a surface level. So what happens is that they might miss the safety that you gave them, whether you have an anxious attachment style or a secure attachment style. But we need to be aware that they also fear the intimacy, right? So usually when avoidant reach out, or even if you broke the contact and you're in good terms with this person, what they're after is regulation, but not always getting back together, not always repairing the bond. And it is very important because otherwise you might self-gaslight yourself thinking we're on track, we are making progress, he or she's back, and we are seeing each other so we can continue where we left it. This is very important for you to assess that the problem with avoidant is sometimes, it's not that they manipulate you, they're usually not aware of that, but there's this impulse, unconscious drive around, I want to be with you, I feel safe with you, but, and the but is very important, and this is what we want to really uncover today, because I really want you to gain clarity. Again, it's not so much about getting back with them. I don't really care if you get back with your partner. Doesn't really matter. Maybe you don't believe me, you don't agree with that, but that's the point. It's for you to agree on the fact that it doesn't matter if you get back with them. What matters is if you get back with them on the right terms, whether they can invest in the relationship, whether they can be vulnerable, whether you can share intimacy. Otherwise, that's not worth it. That's not the right relationship for you. If you're watching this and wondering if you have any chance of getting back with your ex, or even if it's the right thing to do, I've created a free assessment that gives you clarity. It's based on attachment science, and it will show you whether your ex is still emotionally engaged, if reconnection is possible, and how ready you are mentally and emotionally. What you have to do is just answer a few questions, and you'll get a personalized breakdown within 2 minutes. You can find the link of this assessment below in the description. Let's talk a little bit about emotions with avoidance. For many years, I thought it was great not to feel anything, because if you don't feel anything, you can't be disappointed. If you can't feel anything, you can't be affected. You know, you're always stable. This idea of like, I'm stable, therefore I'm strong, which actually has nothing to do with stability. It's about dismissing things. So yes, avoidants suppress emotions. And that's where they cope with things. That's what they learned when they were with their parents, is this ability of like, I can't rely on you to soothe me, to help me, therefore I'm going to suppress those emotions because they're not valid anymore. And so what happens is when there's a bit of distance after the breakup, when they feel calm, at some stage, those feelings will resurface. As we discussed, we remove the pressure from the relationship, therefore the feelings from the relationship resurface. So what you have to understand is sometimes they reach out not because they've changed, but they reach out because they want to feel. So this is important. It's not because you're avoidant that you can't love, that you can't have feelings. We all have a deep need to be attached to our primary attachment figure, parents, and then when you're adult, with our partner. What happens with avoidant is that we suppress this need. And so there's always this inner conflict of like, I want to be in a relationship, but it's too hard. And that was me when I was in my 20s. My 20s, I really idealized relationship. I was in a way very romantic. You would say I was love bombing my partners. I didn't know at that time I was doing this. And so I would fall in love, I would have feelings, and I would like use, I don't like the term, but like use this partner to give me this sense. But at the same time, I didn't want to invest fully. Because if I invest fully, if I give all myself, I might forget myself. So the coping mechanism, the way I would protect myself is like one foot in and 1 foot out. Okay? Again, if that's the case, if your partner is doing this is not the right relationship. He or she needs to be fully within the relationship. And maybe they have their own reasons of not being able to have their 2 feet in the relationship. Maybe they are divorcing, maybe they have kids, that's not your problem, right? You shouldn't accept this, right? My point here in this video is to help you see clearly and accept that potentially this is not the right person, or at least not the right time. Because you don't want a relationship where your partner is scared of intimacy, is scared of commitment. If you're watching this video, I guess it's because you want a committed relationship. If you just want to fling with this person, then that could work. Most people watching my videos, no, they want more. And you have every right to want more from this relationship. So the loop here is you are the safe base, right? They experience life on their own, but they want connection. So there's a movement towards you. Intimacy will rise. And then this is the triggering element where it's too much and they panic, right? They ask for space, distance, calm again, nostalgia, repeat again and again. This is a typical cycle. And I would love to use this video to share some of your stories, because I know some people want to learn about what others are going through and they can relate, whether you've experienced this in the past. My view is that sometimes it's a question of how can we potentially work towards more emotional regulation, changing some of how we communicate, how we deal with their need for space, because we didn't know they were avoidant. So maybe you were in a situation where they broke up with you, you had no clue that they were avoidant, and now you feel like, oh yeah, now it makes sense. And if only I knew that, things would have been different. So maybe that's an opportunity for you to change those parameters and assess. But it's important for you to assess whether this time around things are different, or you are back to panic, distance, etc., etc. Because you don't want to be in a back and forth, and I see that very regularly, people calling me, and there's this back and forth. So in those cases, I really make sure that they develop my clients would develop a secure attachment style. We assess things, and then we make a decision based on how our partner would respond to that. If we have strict boundaries, if we respect their need for space, and if we don't rush things, if the person you want to have a relationship with is serious about a relationship, is emotionally mature, this will change the parameters. So again, it's always a question of nervous system versus what they're saying, what they're doing. Nervous system is really unconscious. It's really the impulse. What we need is more than impulse, because it's short-lived usually, right? So they usually come back because there's a drive to feel safe. Okay, good. That's not enough for us. We want them to prove us that they can follow through, to prove us that together you can feel safe. So yes, there's an element of you respecting their need for space, maybe making sure that you don't go all in the relationship, in that sense of you're not forgetting yourself as part of the relationship, that you have your life, your friends, your social cycles, you take care of yourself, and the relationship is a bonus. And then you assess whether this person can give you what you want. This part is very important. It's very hard to answer the question yourself and find a buddy, ask your therapist to do it with you, whoever, because usually we tend to lie to ourselves, but you need to ask those questions. Are they sharing themselves? Are they opening up? Or are they just checking you're still there? Is it curiosity or is it reassurance about them? Right? Because it's from the outside, it could look similar, but it's important for you to really, really investigate and assess their intention. Is it about familiarity? Because people usually get back with their partner because of familiarity. Or is it about growth? Let's raise something very important. If you want to get back together, it's not about attachment style. You need both of you to create a new relationship where both of you would grow as part of this relationship. I know my clients, and I know probably everyone who will be watching this video, you will be growing after this breakup. That's sure, because I'm fairly confident that it's the case because you're watching videos, not only mine, but you're trying to learn and use this moment in your life to learn something about yourself and change the quality of your relationship for the better. What about your ex? What about them? Right? In most cases, again, if the person is really interested, if you have a high score on the assessment and all of that, most of the time people get back together. But let's be realistic, because I'm not here to sugarcoat you or sell you any false promises. Sometimes it doesn't, because that person is so fixated in how they do things, in their mindset, that you can't grow. You know, if they feel like, I can't give you this, I can't invest, it's so hard, this is their problem. You want to grow as a person, as a partner, you will find someone to grow with. And it's very important because for me, more than an attachment style, what really differentiates healthy relationships or strong couples versus the ones where it's not so strong is the ability to have a growth mindset. We have a challenge, we can overcome that challenge, right? But it's not so much, again, it's not about communication, it's not about attachment, it's about our ability to believe that we can change things. And if you're dating someone who feels like that's the way it is and it's not going to change, that's not the right partner, okay? So that's very important to remind you of that. So how do you manage this dynamic of them getting back into the picture? You need to acknowledge, you need to mirror their pace, you need to follow their steps. That's very important, especially if you deal with an avoidant. You don't want to escalate things. The best way not to trigger them is to follow their pace, is to mirror what they are doing. And invite for connection. So you leave the door open. They're talking to you, they're recontacting you, etc. Okay. Your position is more of a, okay, show me, prove me that we can be happy, more than just like, okay, now we're back in touch. This is my time to prove them how much I love them, how important they are, the work that I've been doing, etc., etc. No, flip the script. They need to show you, right? And you teach them with strong boundaries, with emotional maturity. Could be something around, be real and easy. Let's have a chat. So obviously, this is quite strong and assertive. So maybe not right after you started getting in touch, but at some stage, third or fourth time you see each other, this is where you can start opening up. Because at the end of the day, what you want is clarity, is the right relationship. And so the shift, and I really want you to have this shift, is to stop asking, do they miss me? And asking yourself, do I feel safe with them? It sounds obvious, but a lot of people, they describe the interaction with their ex, and clearly they're not safe. And they don't want to look at it. They don't want to face the truth. Actually, if you're not safe with your partner, this is not the right relationship. And it's not by holding on long enough that things might change. That's why you need to assess this in a short period of time, not staying in that situation where you don't feel safe, when you feel on the edge, when you feel triggered for 6, 12, 18 months. That's not healthy. That's not right for you. Understand that missing someone is biology, nervous system. Safety is a choice, and that's your choice. I want you to make that conscious decision You can do it. You have the tools. And if things are not clear, let me know in the comment section. I'm looking forward to reading your stories. Thanks for watching. If you want to support, you can still subscribe and like this video. I'll see you next time. Take care.